Yeah, but if you guys go back and look at your results when prices with the inside day, you'll see some underperformance. And that's normal. That's normal. I've been there. The key is to understand what type of conditions we're going to be trading with for the session. Because remember, not every day is going to be the same. That should be definitely clear. Be absolutely clear, right? Not always going to have the same quality of opportunities. Not always going to see the same type of follow through on different moves. And so the question becomes, why is that? It has a lot to do with conditions, location, right? Is there any news upcoming? Is there some big data print upcoming? What did the prior day look like? And you start to realize that you can kind of get a good sense of when the days will be a little bit slower. Like today, it was mentioned pre-market, so it's not like it was a mystery, right? Likely going to be a slower session. At least that's what the probabilities tell us. And so with that in mind, you want to be, number one, more cautious if you are going to be trading at all. It's a good time to be taking those planned no trade days, or at the very least flexing that patience muscle. That's definitely a hard one for a lot of traders, working on that patience, because this type of action, like right through here, it's going to be the norm. This type of action is going to be the norm, right? All this. So if you're looking at VWAP and you take a scratch here, right? Or maybe you take a scratch up here, you're going to re-enter another scratch, like easy, super easy to get shaken out in action like this. I mean, we can see that by and large, the ideas worked, right? If you're looking at VWAP. So patience, super key on days like today. And even switching over to a higher time frame. Maybe you start to rely on 5-minute signal, something like that, just as an idea to kind of help with that patience muscle. Or maybe you go in with half your normal size, add the rest of the size once you have some stronger confirmation. There's a lot of ways to go about reducing your risk and kind of working on flexing that patience muscle on a day like today. But ultimately, when we have this type of session, and it is expected, that's kind of the key aspect here. We know about it prior. Like I was mentioning in the session recap a moment ago, it should be a trigger to change your behavior, right? So we're expecting some type of condition. This condition should trigger XYZ behavior. And that's kind of how you develop and get better as you get more experience as a trader. Because like I said at the start, not every session is going to be the same. And so that higher time frame analysis, looking at the primary structure at play, looking at the daily chart, can help us get a sense of what type of trading day it's going to be. And what I would suggest, if you don't already, but start to document how your results are looking on different types of trading days, right? So if today we classify it as an inside day, that could be a new column or a new tag, depending on how you document your results. And this way, after, a few months of trading, you build up a large sample size, you can see, all right, well, what are my best trading days? Where am I underperforming? And I would bet that you'll find that on days like today, you have underperformance. So just a little idea there for improvement, because, I've said 100 times, these types of days used to absolutely kill me. Doing too much, not patient enough. I mean, all the things that you guys may be experiencing on a day like today, I definitely have been there before. And so you have to, number one, kind of work in reverse and figure out what your performance is like on these days. And then number two, figure out what triggers that condition so we can know ahead of time. Because at the end of the session, it really does no good, except for, looking back and kind of saying, all right, well, I know on this type of day, I have major underperformance. So now the trick is to figure out when this day is coming. And for me, that is always going to be based on some of the higher time frame action. Basically, to put it super simply, anytime we have a trend day where price may open near the low and close near the high with a greater than 1 ATR move. And if you don't know ATR, it's average true range, right? And so if ES normally moves 53 points, that's the ATR. Yesterday's range was something like, let's take a look here. Let me get a measurement of the move here if I can do that. There we go. Yesterday's range is 70 points. All right, so almost a 1.5 ATR move. So anytime we have that magnitude of a move, the probability then favors a slower session. And you've heard me talk about this before, but it's worth repeating, especially if you had some challenges on a day like today, right? And so now you know for the next time. Now, it's not a 100% thing, right? There's going to be days where you see a trend day and then buyers are able to show a continuation move. That's called a follow-through day. But that's not the norm. There's a chance of that happening, but it's not the norm, right? And so these are things that you can add to your toolkit to improve as a trader. It's all about pattern recognition on multiple time frames and then bringing it all together to force some type of change in our behaviors. So it's always just a if X then Y. That's all trading is, if X then Y. And so in this scenario, if X is if inside day, then Y should be, all right, well, I need to be trading with more patience. I need to be dropping size, or, not even watching price action, just stepping away and enjoying life away from the screens, right? So there's a bunch of ways to go about this. The main thing to understand is that, make sure you're actually doing the work after hours to kind of get a sense of why this condition occurs and then how you can avoid it in the future, right? That's kind of the point I'm getting at here.